truth, justice, and the Big Sills way. How you doing? Big Sills! All good, my friends. All good. Looking forward to this. I got to tell you, man, has to be one of the best divisional round weekends I've seen in football in a long time. That was a sensational weekend. Oh, and by the way, this message goes to your general manager, Howie Roseman. Ravens, 49ers, Lions, Texans, shit, even the injured Bills, the Chiefs, all had great linebacker play in the playoffs. Linebackers were making plays all over the game and all over the place. All those great linebackers, even the Lions. Look at the Lions. Lions making plays at the linebacker position. Not those shit cans you have in Philly. Hey, let's go get some garbage cans and put them there at the linebacker position. Incredible. Incredible. If you watched any of the playoff games, you went like this, man. Yeah. Hey, do you think there's any coincidence the two teams that are hosting the conference title games have the two best group of linebackers in the NFL? With Queen and Roquan Smith in Baltimore and Greenlaw and Warner in San Francisco. Do you think there's any coincidence to that? Not in Philly, though. By the way, we're going to go back in your history here, and do you really feel comfortable with your boy making picks coming up in April? Man, we got a ton of shit to hit, but I got to start it out by saying this. How many more times are you going to embarrass Sean Desai so that you can have a scapegoat? So now you fire him twice? Is that what that organization did? They fired Sean Desai twice. First after the Cowboy game, and now yesterday. I mean, what's the point of this being disrespectful like that? You fire a guy. Hey, have some fucking conviction in what you do with what you're going to move forward with. Have some conviction. Have some cannolis. Fire the guy, send him home. The same way they did Ken Dorsey up in Buffalo and gave the job to Joe Brady. Okay? Look at this. Ruiz goes like this. So what, he was a shit coach. Well, who fucking hired him? Who hired him? You know, Xander's producing the show today, and I know he remembers me saying this. So you hired two coordinators that have no experience coming off a Super Bowl. Why? Who was the incompetent buffoon that did that? Nick? And then Nick is going to keep his gate. We're going to hit on that here in a minute. And by the way, there's a way of doing business and being respectful. Okay, Sean, let's get this. Let's clear this up. Sean Desai was 10-2 when they fired him. He had beaten the Dolphins, the Chiefs, who, by the way, are at the AFC title game again for the 6th straight year. Desai beat them. Beat the Rams, playoff team. Beat the Bucks, playoff team. And then when you named Patricia as your DC, your team got worse. You became the worst defense in the NFL. So then you fire him twice? Come on, man. Then you're going to keep that dude, Nick Sirianni, as your coach. I'll tell you something, man. Got to get them key fobs, don't you guys? Got to keep that key fob, baby. You know, maybe it's in the best interest we bring back Pinocchio Sirianni. And maybe, you know, things will be better next year. Don't you get it? When they took his play calling duties away in 21, it's just a matter of time before the sundial in the sand runs out of the sundial. He's a casualty waiting to happen. because he has not one redeeming job left. He's not a very good play caller. He's not a very good play caller. And you left it in the hands of him after Steichen left. By the way, Nick Sirianni didn't recommend Shane Steichen. Frank Reich did. He said that on this program. Jonathan Gannon was recommended by Frank, not Nick. By the way, some of the people that come on our network and go on the radio shows, I don't know what they're thinking. Nick Sirianni made hires? Who in their right mind would fire a defensive coordinator 13 weeks into the season? Nobody with any marbles would do that. That's a front office move. I cannot believe that there are people who really think that guy makes hires. I'm talking trash heavily all season. Screw Sirianni. Marshall, the guy's an incompetent buffoon. He's a cheerleader. And you're going to keep this guy. Holy shit. You're bringing Nick Sirianni back. You're going to have a kumbaya, what is it, Wednesday? Yeah, me and Howie are going to move forward and we're going to build a... Howie cannot sustain success. And I agree with Jeff Kerr, who goes on with Birds 365 and works for CBS. Howie Roseman can't sustain success. You know why? He's not a very good drafter. And every time he misses in the draft, he throws money at it, and you lose the equity of the years on a rookie deal. I've said this to you. This is why you're in the position of constantly retooling your team every year. Look at the 49ers. The 49ers have a benchmark group of young players. You don't have one, really, on defense. Well, you got one. Kind of half of one, too. Pillsbury Doughboy Davis and Jalen Carter. I'll give you Carter. I think Carter's a great pick. And by the way, Casper the Ghost, Nolan Smith. Hoss, don't look at his numbers because you'll start laughing. Nolan Smith's new name is Casper the Ghost. Now you see him, now you don't. As a matter of fact, I didn't see him all year. What did he bring? I mean, I'm watching the kid Brance in Detroit making plays. I'm watching the kid Hamilton, who's in Baltimore, you could have took instead of Davis, all making plays. This is Howie and Sirianni's last dance opportunity. Yeah, so what they're going to do is they're going to send him into the 2023 season here. And get this. So you're 24 season here. You're going to send him into the 24 season as a lame duck coach and, I don't know, a hot seat GM. I don't get it, man. I don't get it. How did you talk yourself into keeping him? And you know what, too? If you listen to the dude that was on with a Sports Take, who writes for the Inquirer, if you listen to him, well, Sirianni's going to be making hires for coordinators, and these were his hires. So let's just take that. What's his name? McLean? Is that his name? Let me ask you this. So that guy said that he made those hires. So he's a shitty play caller, and he's a shitty hire of coordinators. And he kept his gig? How? How do you keep your gig? By hiring poor coordinators and being a bad play caller. How do you keep your job? Well, he's got a great win percentage. I don't give a shit about win percentage. I care about winning championships. It's why you've underachieved. Because you guys go around parading around your bronze medals. Look, we won the NFC title. Great. Congratulations. You dated the second best chick in the room. Not me. I'd date the prom queen. Not her friend. Why are you keeping this guy? Give me one reason to keep Nick Sirianni as your head coach. Let's see. Well, because the owner and the GM hired him. And you know why you kept him? Here's my take why you kept him. He was just doing what you told him. He's just doing what you told him. You told him to fire Desai. Okay? You fired him. You told him to hire Brian Johnson. Okay? I did what you told me. You know why you couldn't pick blitzes up? Because the analytics people kept telling you, do it this way, do it this way. I just did what you wanted me to do. Any coach with any kind of brain cells addresses weaknesses on a week-to-week basis and have in-game adjustments. I watched this whole mess go on and listened to everyone talking over the weekend. And more you kept hearing people saying, Sirianni's going to survive. By the way, I don't believe that they're going to address it until someone asks the question on Wednesday. He was never not going to be fired. I guarantee you, they're not going to address it. They're not going to position it that way. You see what they're going to start doing? They're going to start doing their little theatrical plays coming up and telling you how great Nick is, his win percentage over the next couple of days, so that you'll feel better about yourself by Wednesday. Okay? Absolutely. I told you. Look at LJ, 4-11. I told you this. I'm predicting you'll be a 5-win team in 2 years. How you doing? You're sure trending that way. Seeing reports they're interviewing Rivera for DC. I don't have a problem with Ron Rivera as a defensive coordinator. Absolutely none. We're not talking about him being a head coach, just like we're not talking about Frank Reich being a head coach. We're talking about being a coordinator. So stay in that lane. You know what you guys do is you tie and here, so you know too, I'm Matt Patricia. Matt Patricia, you know why you never hire people from the Belichick coaching tree? Name me one guy who was good. One guy. Ryan Flores? Okay. Who else? Name me one guy. Charlie Weiss? Josh McDaniels? Every time these guys have gone somewhere else, they've blown. I would never hire a Belichick assistant. They're not good. The judges of the world, those guys are terrible. But the Eagles brought him in because you know why? They saw the 3 Super Bowls and went, well, he must know something. Yeah, you know what he used to do for Belichick? He used to get Dunkin' Donuts and coffee for him. Sprinkles, please. I like assorted, and I also like chocolate sprinkles on my donut. Go get it for me, Matt. By the way, you can get yourself a Kreller if you want, fat guy. Most of those coaches were ice cup carriers. Hey, you need anything, Bill? Mike Vrabel to the Eagles. Why would you want to have somebody with authority in your building? That's not who you like. Don't forget, you like people that have the Howie Roseman knee pads. You got to walk. You don't walk straight up at the NovaCare Center. You walk on your knees. If they fired Nick, who would they hire? A rookie head coach? Absolutely. Remember what I told you last week? You're either going to have a course direction or you're going to stay the course. That's the only thing that owner knows. Jesus, criminy, man. I never thought that I would say this to you, but I have to say it. If you want to get a job in Philly as a head coach, you better have the best set of knee pads the NFL's ever made. Because if you don't, you can't stand up for yourself. That's the problem in that building. Nick never, I'll tell you flat out. I said it last week too, and I'll say it again. You know why those players had a problem with Nick and the way he coached the team? If you can't stand up for your own guy, how are you going to stand up for us? Somebody told you to fire the guy? Why would we stand up for you, Nick? You won't even stand up for your own guy. I mean, come on, man. That's right, Joseph. This guy's a puppet master. You really thought he was going to walk into a meeting with Jeffrey Lurie and go and act like Doug Peterson? Hey, I'm not firing my guys. I'll take, you know what I would have done? Dude, if you got the fourth best or the second best win percentage and you've taken a team to the playoffs 3 years in a row and you walk out of the building with your pride instead of not walking out of the building with your pride, don't you think you'd get an NFL opportunity again with a win percentage as much as you had there? I'll tell you this, kid, if you get fired next year, no one will ever hire you because they'll wonder what the hell went wrong. And by the way, they're doing it now. You know what people are looking at? Hey, what's Nick Sirianni's win percentage? And how many wins does he have? I want to reverse this thing here and show you how ridiculous some of you are. I hear people even on our network going, this guy's got a great win percentage. Then why the fuck is he on the hot seat? Ask yourself that. Why he's got a 667 win percentage. This guy almost wins 7 out of every 10 ball games. Why is he on the hot seat then? Why would a guy who wins almost 7 out of every 10 games be on the hot seat? Why? Because they're questioning his competency. How in the world can a guy with a 6'6", you know what John Madden's win percentage is? It's 741. Okay? It's the best in pro football history. Best. This guy's like 5th. And he's on the hot seat, questioning whether he should keep his gig. Ask yourself why. Nobody with a win percentage like that should ever have his job questioned. 3 straight playoffs, but they are. Why? Because the dude's a cheerleader. They bring Sirianni back, and somehow they talk themselves into it. Okay, so you're going to bring his ass back. I can't wait to see the type of coordinators you're going to bring in. Why don't you do the right thing this time and hire some coordinators that know what the hell they're doing? Coordinators that have won. Coordinators that have some authority. This is a joke. This is a joke. Your coach was a joke last year. You just didn't know it yet. You know what's funny, too? I know Xander and everybody and all you guys. Remember when I was killing the team when they were 10-0? 10-1? Remember all that? Still, how can you be killing a team? Yeah, because you know what? That record's not who they are. I said it since New England. I never wavered off that. By the way, let me say something else about your boy Hurts. Tell you what, man. This guy now, all of a sudden, he's like an aristocrat. Jalen Hurts is like royalty now. Give a guy $50 million. He acts like he's like royalty now. I'm over here. You're over there. Hey, man, it's me and them. I think there's something to that in that locker room. Remember what Phil Simms said on our show? Remember what Boomer Esiason said, most notably? You got to learn how to play with that contract, kid. I don't think he did a very good job of it. Yeah, hey, man. This guy's royalty now. King Hurts. Dude, the way you played this year, you were a step up from Tyrod Taylor. Drew Lock beat you. Tommy DeVito and Tyrod Taylor. Kyler Murray ran circles around you. I mean, Drew Lock beat you. Zach Wilson beat you. Some of the shittiest quarter. By the way, Zach Wilson will not be a Jet. He beat you. Tommy DeVito will be working at that pizza place in New York or New Jersey, wherever the hell it is. Flipping pies. He beat you. Drew Lock? I don't know. Career backup. The guy's the new Chase Daniels. And Kyler Murray looked great. Some of the biggest bums beat you. King Hurts. Hey, son, you better get your shit together, man. Be Carson Wentz 2.0. Instead of being Russell Wilson 2.0, be Carson Wentz 2.0. You better do something drastically, kid. Because that performance you had this year, very common. How do you have two 1,000-yard wide receivers on the team and you can't throw for $4,000? Come on, dog. It's the NFL. The game is set up for you to throw for $4,000. And don't do me a favor. Don't ever compare that guy to that guy in Buffalo. Even though he lost over the weekend, don't ever do that. Or the guy in Baltimore. They're not even in the same zip code. Jalen sits at the kiddie table with the sippy cups, and those guys sit at the big table. You see, you got to remember something. You got 3 different years on Jalen Hurts right now. 21, 22, and 23. Who is he? I don't know. That dude ain't no, I'll tell you flat out, that guy is no $50 million player right now, the way I look at him. And now you got A.J. Brown potentially wanting out. I thought they were boys. I know Brian Johnson, you guys kept telling me at the beginning of the year, oh, don't worry about it, Sills. Brian Johnson, those guys have been best friends since Jalen Hurts was playing with Tonka toys. Yeah, like that mattered. I told you that shit didn't matter. I don't give a crap about my best friend. I don't want my best friend being my coordinator. I want a competent coordinator moving the sticks for me. Got to give me, honestly. Dude, that whole thing was a freaking fail. It was I'll tell you this. That Eagle team this year in this last season here, this 23 season, massive disappointment. Horrific disappointment. Hey, get this. Jalen Hurts can't beat Baker Mayfield. At least Josh Allen lost to the guy who's been to 6 straight AFC titles. Think of that for a minute. You're going to compare a guy who just got beat by Mahomes, who's going to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and you got beat by Baker Mayfield, actually killed by Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield took you out and made Jalen look stupid. This guy lost to Mahomes and Andy Reid. How you doing? Keeping Nick Sirianni. But then again, you know what? I have to agree with you guys. Sills, well, who would you want as a coach? Now, you can't think like me because I would actually want a competent coach in there. You got to think about somebody that's like a doorman or somebody that, I don't know, somebody that's just going to nod his head like a bobblehead. They say, hey, here's the requirement to be a head coach in Philly. Got to be a bobblehead. Yes, Howie. Yes, sir, Howie. Yes, sir, Howie. Whatever you need, Howie. In the playoffs, all these OCs are scheming guys open. Absolutely. That was so evident when you watch some of these guys. You see Matt LaFleur with Jordan Love. Xander and I were talking about Jordan Love. Look at the development he had on him. Okay? Look at that. Jalen Hurts wouldn't pay that guy $25 million after. Hey, how about this? What would I pay Jalen Hurts for the 23 season? $25 million. That dude played like the guy in Detroit was better. Baker Mayfield was better this year. Baker Mayfield had a better season than Jalen Hurts. How's that possible? And he's on a 1-year deal. How is that possible? How is that possible? Look at, I'm awake, or you? It's still early for Love. Relax, Sills. I know. I told you it was early on Hurts. The 1-year wonder, you gave him $50 million. You don't think that that's still early? Well, let me ask you this. Say Jalen didn't sign that deal last year. Would you assign him to a $50 million deal? Would you give him $50 million a year now? Coming off that season, even with the 22 year. Sills keep cooking these homers. They make us real Eagle fans sick. Hey, that's okay. LJ is needed on this program because you know why? He could sit there and defend that shit as it goes down the toilet. Like the last year did. Like his boy Sirianni did. Like his boy Nagobi Dean did. Like his two coordinators. All that shit I pointed out at the beginning of the year. And by the way, why was Rashad Penny on the team again? I keep forgetting. You guys keep coming up with some stupid-ass excuse. Why was that guy even on the team? Taking up a roster spot. He had a roster spot all year. Why? What do you have, 30 carries? Yeah, good call, guys. Had a hell of a running back room, didn't you? By the way, DeAndre Swift, I have no problem with that deal. No problem with that deal. He was great. I was so jealous watching those offenses this weekend. Twitter might ban me. I'm not shutting up. You should have shut up. Your offense was one-on-one basketball. Nobody got open. Hurts is the reason they went 10-1. Hurts is the reason they were 5-6 and losses at the end of the year, too. He stunk. And by the way, that playoff game, Mr. Business Decisions decided to make quite a few business decisions in that game. Guess he didn't want to get his wallet hurt. I mean, his knee hurt. It's a far cry from getting beat by Patrick Mahomes versus getting beat by Baker Mayfield in the 9-8 Bucks versus a team that's been to 6 straight AFC titles. No, probably not to some of you idiots. Probably not. I saw D. Guns reporting that Brian Johnson won't be back and they're being kind in his job search. Let's be candid here. Brian Johnson is a product of the Rooney Rule. He's a minority guy that's being floated around all the teams so that they can parade him out there to interview the guys they want. Let's be candid here. Every person out there knows he's getting fired as the Eagle OC. Why in the world would an owner hire him when he's going to be terminated by Wednesday? Why won't people say that? They're being respectful? I think it's actually being disrespectful. It's window dressing. Why can't you be honest and say shit like that? But by the way, I don't blame him either. He should do it. Nothing on Brian, but he's a product of a shitty system. Okay? Raheem Morris is going to get a job potentially. This guy won a Super Bowl 2 years ago as the defensive coordinator of the Rams and was a former head coach too early, and he's my friend, and I love Raheem, the DC of the Rams. He's ready. Brian Johnson? You got to be kidding me. Brian Johnson, a head coach in the NFL. And everyone knows the Eagles are firing him by Wednesday. And he really hasn't been interviewing. He's been Zooming it, most of them. Come on, man. Don't get snowed by an affirmative action thing called the Rooney Rule. It's window dressing for the league so that they can make themselves look, I don't know, halfway decent. Okay? Remember that. You keep hanging with your boy Hurts. I'm not there anymore. I don't like this kid acting the way he did. King Hurts. Get his money now. Hey, it's 7 days now, man. You don't support Nick Sirianni? Okay. You don't take any accountability for a shitty season? You don't take any accountability for the way the team played down the run and down the stretch? Okay. 24, we'll see. 24 will define him. I can't wait to see it. And once again, I'll be proven right. 1 year wonder. Another rush to judgment on paying someone when you didn't have to. You didn't have to pay Hurts. Okay? And by the way, if you give me Jalen Hurts 22 and coach him that way, he may get back to being something. But if you coach Jalen Hurts the way you coached him in 23, I have no interest in that. So it's going to be interesting to see who you bring in. And does Jalen want to run the ball? Does he want to do the RPO? Hey, maybe it was Hurts who didn't want to do the RPOs. Maybe it was him. You ever think of that? I don't want to do the RPOs anymore. What about him? You know, we always assumed it was the front office and the coaches. Maybe it was Hurts that said that. I don't want to do RPOs. Okay. We shall find out. Let me go here. You know what? I want to show you something here before I get to the other topic here. By the way, my boy Philly 500 is going to join us today at 3:30, and we're going to have Gary Cobb, as always, at 4:30 from Fox 29. Let me ask you something here about Howie Roseman before I get back to Nick Sirianni. How much faith do you have in Howie retooling the defense? The offense really doesn't need to do any retooling. You're going to need a running back. You're probably going to need a backup tight end and probably another guard on the right side. Maybe some future on the tackle position because Lane's getting long in the tooth. The more I think about Xander, can you put that super chat up for me, please, that $9.99 one? The more I think about how the last 6 weeks of the season unfolded, the more disappointed I am in Hurts' leadership. A.J. Brown blows up. Blows up seems more justified. Michael, thank you. Yeah. A.J. Brown's in Atlantic City boxing on Sunday and at a casino on Monday and not with his team. Okay. I'm paying that guy $25 million. And he's doing some other stuff in Atlantic City and he's not with his football team. Okay. I guess. Let me ask you something. Let me ask you about Howie here. How confident are you in him being able to retool that defense? How confident? Scale of 1 to 10. 0. 0. Peter says no. I have no confidence. Yep, it's something. 1. Look at you guys. He needs to hit in the draft. 7 says Twiz. Twiz says 7. Steve says 9. Okay. Purdy salary. Actually, Hogan, in 24. Get this. And right now he makes $870,000, does Brock Purdy. And Brock Purdy's in the NFC Championship game. He's 2 games away from the Super Bowl and winning it, making what Jalen makes per week. You hear what I said? Brock Purdy makes in a year what Jalen will start making this year for 1 week. You talk about San Francisco being in the catbird seat. Remember you guys laughed at me last year when I said I'd rather have the Brock Purdy situation than the Jalen Hurts situation. Even though Howie did a nice job with the cap and the cap hits, I'd rather have Brock Purdy's situation. And you guys are all like, are you saying he's – I didn't say that. I said he threw for the least amount of attempts, and he was second in passing yards in the NFL, which means he was effective as hell. And he won a game without Deebo Samuel. You can't win without AJ. It's evident. And he makes $870 a year. I have 2 years of something Howie Roseman would never know. You know what that is? Cap equity on rookie deals. Here's again the example that you guys don't understand. And you don't because you're not really football people when it comes to the numbers. And you always have to start with numbers when it comes to the NFL. It's not just that you missed on the Jalen Reagor. You missed on the 2 years, 3 years of the rookie contract. And the $40 million you had to pay AJ that you could have spread out. Look at what you're going to do with Purdy here. You're going to get 3 years of a guy making $800,000 instead of making $50 million per year. Look at how you spread that money out throughout your cap, and you got cap integrity. If you look at the Eagles, you got an unbalanced salary cap. You got no money in defense, really. And the money you do, you didn't get a return on investment. Your corners blow. And you got $30 million wrapped up in your corners. Look at brother Hannibal. Purdy soft. NFC title game, guy. NFC title game for the second year in a row. Think about this. Brock Purdy is going to his second NFC championship game in 2 years. In 2 years as a starter, being the last player drafted in the draft last year. How you doing? As much as you bombed on Trey Lance, it was a slam dunk on Purdy. Kind of washed it. How you doing? Purdy's only going because of his defense. Think about something here, what that idiot just said. Purdy's only going because of his defense. And yet he's thrown for more passing yards than everybody but one dude on the least amount of attempts. The 49ers have thrown the least amount of passes in the league, and they're second in passing yards. But it's his defense. No, it's about him being good. So let's get to your boy here. Howie Roseman. I saw Twiz go, I got complete confidence in Howie Roseman. Well, let's take a look at this. Since Howie Roseman's been in the building, and that's 2000, let's take a look at how you guys have done position-wise. Okay? You've drafted 8 tight ends. I think you guys have been pretty efficient at your tight end position since 2000 over the 23 years. I do. I think you guys have put some really good tight ends on the roster, and I think you guys have really done a nice job at developing some of those tight ends. Calm down, Oscar the Grouch. Jalen's season wasn't great, but it had more to do with the coaching. Of course it does. Always go for the low-hanging fruit and hang it on the batting coach when somebody's in a slump. Of course, their kid. It's called accountability, guy. Try it. Guy throws a pick. So what do you think, Brian Johnson schemed up a pick? Hey, Jalen, you don't like to play? Audible. You make $50 million. You don't have to run the play, kid. So let's do this. Since 2000, 8 tight ends. I think you've been really good here. If I were to give you a grade on drafting tight ends, I'd probably give you a B plus, A minus. Howie's been in the building for all that time. Joe Banner was a lot of that at the beginning. Howie's done a nice job. Dallas Goedert, all those guys, good stuff, man. Honestly. Zach Ertz, yeah. Why would Purdy throw 50 times a game? Christian McCaffrey and Gunn, not, yeah, okay, sure. What? You've drafted 10 quarterbacks since 2000. Wentz helped you get to a Super Bowl and win. Okay? It's a very controversial era, the Wentz era. But you got a Super Bowl out of the Wentz era. Jalen, still riding it, really. You got an appearance in the Super Bowl. Okay? 10 quarterbacks in 23 years. You got 2. Okay? You said you wanted Dak over Hurts too. This year, for sure, he was 10 times better than anything. Number 7, defensive tackles. You've drafted 15. I think you've been great here. And your quarterback, C. C+. Be fair. This is Howie in the building. Defensive tackles. I think you've been great. Finding a guy like Tank, also a UDFA. Corey Simon, Fletcher, Jordan Davis, kind of. Jalen Carter for sure. I think you guys have done a nice job there. Very nice job. I think you probably I'll give you an A there. I think you've done a nice job on your DTs. Now we start moving up a little bit in the draft room here for your boy Howie Roseman. Running backs. In the last 23 years, you drafted 17. Let's see. Shady. Who else in the last 23 years? In the last 23 years, outside of Shady, who? Miles Sanders? There's another one-year wonder. Nice job in Carolina. Was Westbrook drafted in 2000? What year was Westbrook drafted? What year was he drafted, Westbrook? What year? Look at Flexen. Hey, Flexen, fire Sileo. They gave me an extra hour. Fire. They extended me. 2002. Shady and Westbrook. You get an A there for me. Those are 2. Westbrook's one of my favorite Eagles of all time. Tremendous football player. Tremendous. Okay. Wide receiver. You've drafted 22. That Howie's been involved with. 22 wideouts. Devontae Smith and who? Devontae Smith and who? Deshaun Jackson. Okay? Deshaun Jackson. Deshaun and Devontae. 22 players you've drafted at wideout. Jeremy Maclin is a dude. Jeremy Maclin's a dude. Jeremy Maclin is T. Higgins. Jordan Matthews? Yeah. Freddie Mitchell? Okay. Jeremy Maclin. You're going there? Jeremy Maclin was solid. I wouldn't say he was Jeremy Maclin. Let me compare somebody to him. I don't know. Who could I compare Jeremy Maclin to? Let me think. Gabe Davis? I don't know. Higgins is better. I'm trying to think, who can I compare Jeremy Maclin to? Who was the guy that played in Kansas City last year? Who was the guy that played in Kansas City last year that went up to New England? What was his name? Who was that guy? Juju Smith-Schuster. That's it. Juju Smith-Schuster and Jeremy Maclin. Probably the same guy. Come on, man. You've had, in 23 years, you've drafted 2 wideouts. So obviously, you're not very good at that. You're not very good at drafting wideouts. You get an D for that. Only reason you don't get an F is because Devontae's one of my, and to Xander, Xander's right. Very first question he asked, he goes, Sills, what do you make it to play? What do you make it to play to get Devontae Smith? I said he's a schwimp. Turns out to be he's my favorite Eagle. He's a professional. He shows up every day. He is a true pro, and he'll go down as the greatest wide receiver in Eagle history. He is some ball player. 3,000 yards in 3 years. I mean, every single thing you want in a wide receiver, you got in that kid, and he never bitches. Absolutely amazing. And I was wrong. And he is a star. Okay? A star. But 2 wideouts, 23 years. Yeah, you got that covered. Oh, here's my favorite one, though. So let me see. I don't know, D. You've drafted 23 linebackers since 2000. You think Howie's going to draft a linebacker? Hey, go get me Trotter Jr. You mean Dean Jr.? Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Why? Because Trotter's old man played in Philly? Haven't you got tired of that, like, connection of friends and boys and guys who played here? Who gives a shit about that? Whether Jeremiah Trotter's kid played or the old man played in Philly. Is he good? Who cares about that? Trotter's son. Well, because Trotter, he can't be that far away. The apple can't the apple can't have fallen too far from the tree. Well, that wouldn't be a guy. I'd take those 2 Bama kids they got. That kid Dallas Turner down there is pretty good. And the other inside backer they got's pretty damn good. I like those 2 Bama backers. They're superior to Trotter. Okay? Yeah, the kid Wilson's great. You've drafted 23 linebackers. Name me one that has been under Howie Roseman's watch. 23 linebackers in 23 years you've drafted. Can you name me one? Name me one you drafted. Hey, I'll take one. This is your boy, Flex. You said you got like a 9. Name me one linebacker in 23 years with 23 picks that the Eagles have drafted. That's an F. That's an F. If you're naming me 1 or 2 and you've drafted 23 guys, Jesus criminy. Man, that's some average. Hey, dude, did you see the linebacker play in the postseason? All those teams had great linebackers. Even the shitty Bills linebackers who were second and third team guys were good. Think about that. The Bills backup linebackers are better than anything you rolled out this year, including Paper Mache Dean. Hey, where's Nakobe Dean? Oh, he's in the tub. Oh, again? Yeah. That guy's made of balsa wood. The stuff you make models with? That's what he's made with. He's made with balsa wood. You've drafted 23 backers and not one of them are worth a shit. Defensive ends, you drafted 25. Brandon Graham, Josh Sweat, who else? Who else has an edge rusher? Brandon Graham, Josh Sweat, Trent Cole, and he was the late. I think he was a third or fourth rounder too. Okay. Trent Cole, yeah. No, and that's a good pick. Okay, Seals, we know they can't draft anything outside. Hold on. I'm gonna get to the take here in a second where I'm going with it. I don't know. C-, your ends. Think about the positions they can't draft. Watch this. O-line. I think they've been exceptional in the O-line. They've been exceptional. Two guys on your starting line. Get this. There's only one first-round draft choice starting in your offensive line. It's considered one of the best units in football. Think about that. Can Frank fix Jalen? Great question. Let me write that down. Fix Jalen. It's an easy fix, but they won't. And I'm not sure Jalen wants to be fixed. Okay? They're exceptional in the O-line. Think of that. You have one first-round draft choice starting in your O-line. It's considered one of the top 3 units in the league. I mean, Mulata was a 7th. Kelsey was like a 4th or 5th. Dickerson's a 2nd. You got guys over on the right side that are 2s. I think Juergens is a 2nd. And Steen's a 3rd. That's exceptional. That's exceptional. And they've done a nice job because, well, you get the best O-line coach in pro football in Jeff Stoutland. So you get a strong A here. Now, here's the beauty of it. Here's the beautiful one. So you can't draft linebackers. How many defensive backs do you think you've drafted since 2000? Random number. How many DBs, safeties, and corners have you drafted? I'm going to show you the problem here. The reason you can't have sustained success. I just see LJ. Damn, in those 23 years, ever missed the playoffs 6 times. Yeah, well, quite frankly, the reason that you don't go any further and do any more, and the reason that you don't have more than one Super Bowl is because you're not built to win championships. And you're not built to sustain it. Every other year is a rebuild. That's been your MO. You have drafted 40 defensive backs. You've drafted 28 corners. Name me a corner in 23 years that was a Pro Bowler. Name me one that was a Pro Bowler. So you can't draft DBs and you can't draft linebackers. Once again, this is why you can't sustain success. Why? Because you don't utilize the rookie contracts, because you miss consistently, and especially on the defensive side of the ball. You miss massively on the defensive side of the ball, and it's a reason why you're retooling the team every 2 years. And you're doing it with free agency and money. It's a Band-Aid. And that's why, by the way, you're going to be horrible on defense next year. Who are you bringing in? Where are you spending the money? Where are you getting it from? March 17th, Hurts' contract kicks in. Now, again, the low cap hits, But you're spending money. Like I told you, the cap goes up only 18%. And the amount of fixes that you have to do on defense, you're going to have to spend $120 million to fix everything on that side of the ball. Your two corners should not be brought back. You may have to have dead cap money too on those two guys. Get this. I'd rather have the dead cap money than have them on my roster. I need the roster spots. I'll make it up with rookies. I'll draft a corner in the first round and a corner again in the second round just to get them on a rookie contract and hope I hit. The only way you can survive having those horrifically done contracts by Howie Roseman at corner, they're catastrophic salary cap hits. You're going to have to eat the dead money. By the way, do you go to them and say this? Hey, can we restructure your deal? Why would they restructure it? Hey, Bradbury's deal restructured. He's making $15 million. You can't draft DBs. You can't draft linebackers. And you're weak at edge. How he's going to retool that in the draft? Isaiah Rodgers will be a stud corner for us. Okay, we'll see. Once again, ifs, ands, maybes, hopes. That's not conviction. The 49ers are going to be a great team. Green Bay, hey, by the way, Green Bay's getting better. Detroit's getting better. Those teams are getting better. Hey, the Bucs aren't as bad as we thought. Rams are going to get better because they got great coaching. You don't. Seals, who can fix this defense? Riverboat. He's not a bad selection. Mike Caldwell, wink. Sean McDermott, I think he's done in Buffalo. He's not done in Buffalo. They'll make coordinating changes except for Joe Brady. Let me ask you something here. Eagles cap $20 million in 2024. Cap space is $23 million in 25. So you got cap space of $20 million. Well, how are you paying for your rookies in the draft? You got to spend $18 million on your rookies. That eats up almost all that in April. How are you fixing that defense? I've told you this numerous times. You got two OTs that are making $15 million apiece, average. That's 30. You got a quarterback that's at 50. There's 80. You got a receiver you're paying 20. There's 100. You got $100 million lined up in 4 dudes on offense. $100 million. What's Kelsey going to do? There's 15 there. There's another $115 million. How are you rebuilding your defense? How are you doing it? Drafting? Not with that guy. Since 2000, they're not very good at drafting defensive football players. They're just not. Get this. That's not an opinion. That's your history. You see, there's a difference when I make an opinion on something. Your history, you've drafted 40 DBs, almost 25 linebackers, and all of them blow. And those are critical positions that doomed the defense this year. How are you retooling that? That's not an opinion. It's actually facts. So, here's where you are. Someone says, Sills, how do you fix this? Easy. You're going to have to go again, and you're going to have to spend a lot of money in free agency, and you're going to have to hope, once again, you land on draft picks that you never have. You're going to be forced to draft because you don't have the money. I do not believe this is going to be whatsoever in any way a spending spree this offseason. You don't have the money. You don't have the money. Like, get this. Think about what happened last year with the Ravens. You know what the Ravens did? That was great. And everyone said, what a dumb move. Remember when the Ravens went and spent over $100 million on Roquan Smith? And you know what all you were telling me? The Eagles would never spend $100 million on a guy like that. Why would you spend $100 million on a guy like that? Well, because he could solidify your defense and make you one of the top units in all the NFL, and now you're hosting the AFC Championship game. You think that deal panned out and played out well for Baltimore? You paid a guy $100 million. Baltimore said, yes, we're going to do that. Instead of going into the draft, and he's 25 years old. Roquan Smith, they gave him the money. He's 25, and now he'll anchor that middle of that position for the Ravens for the next decade. And here's another difference between the 49ers and the Eagles. Fred Warner's a third rounder. Nakobe Dean's a third rounder. One guy has an eye for talent. One guy don't. Told you from day one, that guy Dean ain't it. Was never going to be it. He'll never. Dude, I don't know if he'll ever play another down in Philly. No idea if he ever. By the way, I don't know if he's not good. He may be a good player. Son, you got to get out of the tub. You just got to get out of the tub. Detroit and what Brad Holmes has done and the stuff that Jared Goff is doing is utterly remarkable. All their draft choices are hitting. Get this. I got to give my boy Xander some more love here. He goes, Sills, I know you like Bijan. The kid Gibbs is great. I was like, yeah, they used him kind of different at Alabama when he was down there. They didn't really, Bijan was more of a feature back at Texas. And I think Atlanta didn't use him right. That kid Gibbs is some ball player. Now you know why they moved off of DeAndre Swift. They wanted to have more of a power game, and they got it. By the way, that guy in Kansas City, hey, do me a favor. What round was that guy Pacheco drafted? That guy runs like a smaller version of Adrian Peterson. I can't believe he's that physical. That guy is some ball player. Holy cow. I'll tell you what, Kansas City set up they've extended Patrick Mahomes' Super Bowl window. Guess what they did by getting rid of Tyreek Hill? He's a seventh rounder. Good grief. That kid's a great ball player, man. Guy's amazing. Them getting rid of Tyreek Hill produced a Super Bowl championship and a retooled defense. They spent no money. Tone last week gave you the numbers. They spend no money on defense outside of Chris Jones. No money. And anytime you guys have a problem in Philly, you go spend $15 million on an edge rusher, and you go spend $20 million on a wide receiver. And by the way, AJ's worth it, but he affects your roster. Anytime you spend that kind of money, it affects your roster. New England never traded for big-time wideouts. Randy Moss was traded for a sixth-round draft choice when he was with the Raiders. It was like a 6th rounder, or 4th rounder, 5th rounder. When they traded for him, they had him on $1 million deal. Moss didn't make any money in New England. Pacheco runs possessed, and Rice ain't no slouch. Dude, Brett Veach has done a hell of a job with that roster. AJ's a top 3 wide receiver. So you got a top 3 wide receiver, and you get blasted by the Bucs. Congratulations. $20 million for statistics. He's the Kirk Cousins of wideouts now. Great. When you're spending money, it has to be something that results in winning games. Get this. So you're right. AJ puts great numbers up. Look at what Zay Flowers gives Baltimore. 3 years of a rookie contract and production. You got to balance that. Look at what your corners are giving you now. Nothing. Except a bill that's due at the end of the month every year that you can't afford. And you're sitting here, and then let's bring Sirianni back for what? To watch this? Man, you need a complete directional conversation on department. You need department changes. How he can't be in charge of the personnel decisions when it comes to college scouting. He's a great cap guy. He's a great cap dude. But he is not a drafter. Actually, he hurts your team. Adam Peters, new Commanders GM, 49ers East Coast. Worked with John Lynch. Sills, it will cost the Eagles $3.5 million to cut Bradbury post-June. I thought the number was more on the dead cap money. Okay. Joe Bob Cooter is a good play caller. Okay. He is. He's not bad. They bring in Sirianni back because he's a puppet. And they'll never fire Howie. There lies your problem. Here. I wrote these coordinators down, and I added from a list of a week ago. Okay? I added this, and I added a couple names here. The person that I want to see as a defensive coordinator, and I said it last week early, and I'll say it again. And I text him. We had a great conversation. And now that Sean Desai is out, Leslie Frazier would be open to being interviewed for the DC job in Philly. Leslie Frazier, the last 3 years, him being a defensive coordinator in Buffalo, they had a top 5 defense. He's a brilliant mind. He would probably be in Philly for a while. Only one thing, though. You got to remember something about Leslie Frazier. He's a no-shit guy. He's no shit. You're not going into his room telling him this or telling him that. He's got a way of doing business. And I like the way he does business. Swift is explosive. Dropped Gainwell already. 48, you're never going to be able to afford Swift. Swift is on a 1-year contract. He's going to make $7-8 million this coming off season. Someone will give him between $6.5 and $7.5 million. The Eagles aren't going to pay that. They're not putting that money up for DeAndre Swift. And by the way, DeAndre Swift needs some help. I think he needs like a LeGarrette Blount kind of guy back there. I love Leslie Frazier. He's my number one choice to be the D coordinator. Now, look, I heard Ron Rivera. You know, when Ron was in San Diego, he really did a great job. And Ron's, get this, how many people would like Ron Rivera as your defensive coordinator? How many people would like Ron Rivera as your D coordinator? Well, he runs defenses like Buddy Ryan. He runs a Buddy Ryan defense. He runs the 46. You understand that. They just didn't have great production up there on that defensive side of the ball. I'll tell you what, though. They gave the Eagles fits every time they played them. They gave them fits every time they played them. Shit, they actually beat them in the last 2 years. Ron's got a pelt on his desk from the Eagles. He beat you. Ron's from Buddy Ryan, so you wouldn't want a guy that's from the cloth of Buddy Ryan. Okay. Buddy, he's a good coordinator. And see, what happens is some of you guys get blinded, okay, by the fact that he's not, and he actually took a team like Nick did to a Super Bowl when he was the head coach of Carolina. Ron specialties linebackers, obviously, because he played for Buddy also on that legendary 85 Bears team. He's a former legendary linebacker on that team. Played with Wilson, Wilbur Marshall, and those guys in 85. He was on that 85 Bears team as a player and a starter. And it became a coordinator because he worked under Buddy. Okay? Right. Tremendous. And by the way, he's got an NFC title ring like your buffoon coach does. Nick Sirianni. Honest to God, man. That guy's the biggest cheerleader I've ever seen. What a cheerleader. Hey, don't worry about it. And you hear people on my network, and you hear people on the radio, and you see people in the print going like this. Well, Nick made these hires. So he made the hires and you're keeping them. And you actually had shitty coaching all year and in-game situation. There wasn't one redeeming quality about the coaching staff last year, and you're keeping the guy. 667. 10-1. 667. 10-1. Same bullshit. Same bullshit. Get this. Hey, you know Nick's got a better win percentage than Dick Vermeil. And some of you buffoons in here would actually think that Nick Sirianni's a better coach than Vermeil. Really? So if you had to have a coach build your football team and motivate your team to win and get to a Super Bowl, you would take Sirianni over Dick Vermeil. Hey, that's all you need to know about some people. I mean, Sirianni's got a better win percentage than Bill Parcells. Is he better than Bill Parcells? He's got a better win percentage than Tom Coughlin, who has 2 Super Bowls. Is he better than Tom? He's got a better win percentage than Mike Holmgren. Is he better than Mike Holmgren? He's got a better win percentage than Mike Shanahan. Is he a better coach than Mike Shanahan? He's got 2 Super Bowls too. That's a great question, Chris. What does Sirianni do? Well, cheer. Holler at fans. Is that thing they did to Kelsey, that stupid thing? Holy cow. That guy is whipped. Guy's walking off the field doing this. Come on, guy. You got to, hey, I thought, no disrespect. The only thing that saved Travis Kelce was Jason Kelce hammered at that game with his shirt off and leaping over like that guy was a high hurdler at 300 pounds. Tremendous credit. The way he leaped out of the building like he was Superman onto the stands there down with the Buffalo Bill fans with no shirt on. The only way that Travis Kelce keeps his man card is his brother saved him. because that dopey ass thing they're giving that to Taylor Swift and all that. Come on, bro. You can't be like that, man. Holy cow, are you whipped? Seriously, man. This guy here. Hey, I guarantee you, man, he's a guy that says shit like this to her. Hey, where'd you go? hey, who's that on the phone? Hey, who just texted you? He's one of them guys. Hey, dude, you lost your man card with me. I have no respect for you. Sorry, Hoss. Hey, Travis Kelce, I have no respect for you. It's like, come on, guy. Are you kidding me? Talk about whipped. Woo! Shit, man. This guy, man, I guarantee you, man, this guy gets brokenhearted when she doesn't call or not around him. I don't know, man. Holy cow. My wife goes like this. She goes, what did he just do? I said, it's love, man. Remember? See, me and my wife been together 35 years, and Xandra knows it too. But she's quite a handful and a headache. But hey, it's love. Man. Then Jason, man, he was a star. Holy shit, do I want that guy? That guy, you know what he should do? Jason Kelce should start a business, and he should be like a party guy that like puts on parties and shit, because he looks like a ton of fun. There's no doubt that guy is drinking beers out of a funnel before. And I would say that a transmission funnel, like I did once, almost made me throw my brains up. I would say that dude's a man. I hope he comes back. He will be missed. Okay? He will be. Yes, Jason Kelce's like the centers of Gronk. Can you imagine him and Gronk at a party? Whew. Better hide the women and children, man. Jason Kelce and Gronk at a party? Oh, shit. That would be a blast. Are you kidding me? I'd film the whole thing. Holy cow. Let me do the defense, and I'll take a timeout here in a second. We'll come back, and I got another question on your buffoon coach who's coming back. And there's going to be a little powwow press conference on Wednesday. Here's my guy, Nicky Scarfo Sirianni, my boy. Yes, sir. Here's little Nicky, our head coach, my guy. We never ever had any thought about fire. No, we just had to do a course change a little bit here. Here's my guy. Hey, Nick, how hard was it for you to fire the coaches? Oh, it was hard, man. There was my guys, and, I had to fire Desai twice inside of 4 months. Not even 4 months, 3 months. I had to kick his ass twice out the door. Yeah, it was pretty tough. Well, how much coaching did you have? None. I want to make $8 million, man. I'm getting paid $6 to $8 million by the Eagles. Hey, shit, I don't want that gravy train stopping. Who do you want fired? No problem. I'll fire Big Dom if you want. I don't care what you do. I'll fall on the sword for you any way you want. How hard was it for you? What, you think there'll be any? Hey, here's the debates too. You think Nick will give any pushback? Shit. Pushback for what? He's got no equity. He's got no equity. I would have hired Denard Wilson, but you know what they didn't like? Denard Wilson was telling them shit about their corners. I guarantee you, Denard Wilson said, you might want to rethink them corner guys, because those corner guys aren't going to be what you think they're going to be. Sure enough, man, they didn't like what he said. And now, guess who has the best secondary in the NFL? Ravens. How'd that work out? Last year, you had the best secondary in the NFL. This year, you have the worst. This year, the Ravens are the best secondary. Gee, what's the common denominator? Denard Wilson's the coach. Huh. Yeah, but wasn't he in our building? Yeah. What happened? We went in a different direction. We hired a nobody. And then we hired a babysitter. And Mr. Pencil. The bomb maker. Matthew Patricia. Wink Martindale. I have a problem with that since you're looking at guys like Rivera. Martindale would be great. But here's the problem, too. Here's a guy that walked into the head coach's office, Brian Dable, and told him to go fuck himself because he fired 2 of his assistants. Okay? You're not firing any of Wink Martindale's assistant coaches without Wink doing it himself. That's how he lost his job in New York. Because he was defending his guys. Unlike your boy, Pinocchio Sirianni. He wasn't defending anybody. Okay. Hey, we got to fire Desai. Okay. Hey, we got to run this offense. Okay. Is that coaching? I love this guy, Jesse Minter, worked for both Harbaughs. I brought this guy back up last week. I think he's a great, great mind. I think it's going to be interesting to see what he does because at the end of the day, if Harbaugh goes to Los Angeles and takes the Charger job, would the Michigan Wolverines give the head coaching job to him, Jesse Minter, to keep the train going the Harbaugh way? That could be something to think about, and that's an $8 million a year job. So he's in the catbird seat. Jesse Minter is either going to be the head football coach taking over for Jim Harbaugh at Michigan, or he's going to be the defensive coordinator in Michigan, or the DC in Los Angeles with the Chargers. So he looks pretty good right now. And then I got Glenn Schumann from Georgia. All right, I got to take a time out because we're going to get Philly 500 coming up here in a minute. Do not forget our great friends at Hooters. The 2024 calendars are out. There's $100 in coupons inside. 9 of the girls from the Northeast region are located inside of the calendars. And this weekend is conference championship games. $2 off every pitcher in game. $1 goes to local charities. That's northeasthooters.com. northeasthooters.com. Don't forget also Military Mondays, 20% off all day for our great men and women who serve this great country. That's northeasthooters.com, northeasthooters.com. And do me a favor, when you roll in, tell them Big Sil sent you.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.